Since we have already done videos on the biggest tripods and the evolution of tripods from the War of the Worlds, so here in this video we will dive into power next, taking into consideration the weapon systems, the durability and shielding of these Martian fighting machines. We will thus assess and showcase the 10 most powerful Martian tripods from the adaptations of War of the Worlds. Let's get to it. On the 10th spot we have the Asylum Tripods. In H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds, produced by the Asylum, the classic tripod concept is radically altered to a six-legged walker that resembles a mechanical crab rather than the traditional three-legged design. This walker features a rotating turret-like head with a built-in heat ray that fires through a forward slot, allowing it to sweep and target enemies with precision. The same opening is also used to deploy a green toxic gas, functionally similar to the novel's Black Smoke, which makes it capable of both direct destruction and also area denial. In the sequel, War of the Worlds 2, The Next Wave, this design shifts again, this time returning to a more familiar tripod structure, but with a major twist. These newer machines are no longer piloted vehicles but living cyborg organisms, controlled remotely via signals from a Martian mothership. This fundamentally changes their nature. Instead of being mechanical constructs with operators inside, they now behave more like extensions of a larger alien systems, which makes them more vulnerable than all the others because they are partly biological now. So at number 9 we have the 1984 BBC series Tripods. The tripods that appeared in the Tripods trilogy by John Christopher. Here the tripods are less about overwhelming battlefield destruction and more about long-term control and the domination of humanity. By the year 2089, Earth, especially places like Britain, have been reduced to a pre-industrial society, not because the tripods can't be fought directly, but because they've already won psychologically and socially. These suppress independence and they enforce obedience, ensuring that most of humanity lives normal-looking lives while never truly being free. Physically, however, these tripods are actually amongst the most vulnerable versions across adaptations. They are described as large, slow and somewhat cumbersome vehicles. Because of this, they can be brought down by relatively simple means such as well-placed explosives, and thus that makes them especially susceptible to guerrilla tactics and coordinated human resistance. Number 8. The War of the Worlds The True Story Tripods. So these fighting machines in The War of the Worlds The True Story are a faithful realization of what H.G. Wells originally imagined in his novels, as towering three-legged war machines over 100 feet tall that move with an eerie, almost fluid motion and feels less like vehicles and more like extensions of the Martians themselves. They are devastatingly powerful in direct combat, equipped with a heat ray that can instantly incinerate soldiers, artillery and structures at a range, as well as the infamous Black Smoke, which is a chemical weapon which is capable of suffocating entire populations and rendering landscapes uninhabitable. Despite this overwhelming power, the tripods are not invincible. One is notably shot down by 19th century artillery, revealing that their armor is vulnerable if hit properly, and that suggests that they rely more on avoiding damage than enduring it, and so that's why they are on the number 8 spot. On the 7th spot we have the War of the Worlds Goliath Tripods. See, there are two tripod variants in the War of the Worlds Goliath, which presents an interesting evolution of Martian war design in a more militarized diesel-punk style conflict. The first variant, from the 1899 invasion, has a distinct, eerie and almost face-like design. It is equipped with multiple tentacles which extends in sharp points for close combat, as well as two types of heat ray weaponry, a smaller dual cannon system between its legs for rapid strikes and a larger triple-mounted cannon at the front for sustained and more destructive blasts. The second variant, introduced during the 1914 invasion, presents a clear upgrade in scale and combat capabilities. These machines are larger, faster and more heavily armed, with increased numbers of tentacles and more powerful heat ray systems. However, even with these improvements, they retain key weaknesses. Like their predecessors, they still lack energy shielding and they do not deploy Black Smoke, leaving them exposed to coordinated human resistance and weaponry from 1914, which means World War I type weaponries. And also they can be brought down by their own type of weapons which are re-engineered or reverse engineered by humanity. Number 6. The 2025 Ice Cube War of the Worlds Tripods. In this 2025 interpretation of War of the Worlds, the tripods are scaled down compared to some of the more massive versions like Jeff Wayne's, but they still stand roughly 100 to 150 feet tall, which makes them still large. but they compensate for that with more advanced and adaptive design philosophy as well as digital warfare systems and EMPs. Instead of purely being towering war machines built for overwhelming destruction, these tripods resemble sleek squid-like drones with modular components that can reconfigure and upgrade themselves over time. Their greatest strength lies in their intelligence and adaptability. They actively harvest human surveillance data, learning from military systems, communications networks, and even civilian infrastructure to refine their tactics in real time. This allows them to anticipate human responses, to exploit weaknesses, and evolve far faster than traditional war machines, which makes them incredibly dangerous despite their smaller size. However, they are still shown to be easily brought down but by 21st century weaponry, which makes them far more dangerous than the ones that are brought down by 19th century weaponry or, World War I weaponry. So at number 5, we have the BBC TV Miniseries Tripods. This version of the tripod stays very close to the spirit of H.G. Wells' original vision, but they are more advanced here. These machines are constructed underground using Earth's own minerals, which suggests a level of strategic preparation and resource adaptation by the Martians before the invasion even begins. Physically, they feature two-section articulate legs, giving them a more deliberate, weight-bearing movement, and compared to the smoother, more fluid interpretations, their heat ray is integrated directly into the main body, glowing with a blue, eye-like intensity, which shows an unsettling idea that the machine itself is both a weapon and a face. In terms of weaponry and function, they retain the classic black smoke as well, deployed from compartments beneath the machine, which allows them to poison entire areas much like in the novel. However, despite being impervious to types of weaponry like artillery and gunshots, they can still be brought down by bigger weapons like massive artillery shells fired from British naval guns. On the 4th spot, we have Jeff Wayne's Tripods. So these fighting machines from Jeff Wayne's musical version of War of the Worlds are often considered the most iconic and visually exaggerated interpretation for the tripods from H.G. Wells, especially in stage productions like The New Generation. These machines are depicted as colossal, heavily armored walking fortresses towering around 400 to 500 feet tall, large enough to dwarf landmarks like the Big Ben, which makes them the second biggest tripods ever portrayed. In terms of weaponry, they are equipped with a powerful heat ray mounted at the front of their hood and dual black smoke launchers, which allows them to devastate both targets and entire environments at the same time. However, their immense size and heavily armored build likely comes at the cost of maneuverability, with the cockpit appearing largely immobile, suggesting the slower reaction times compared to more agile designs from later works. Despite their overwhelming scale and firepower, which makes them really durable and powerful, they notably lack any form of energy shielding, meaning they can still be incredibly tough, but they are not invulnerable. On the 3rd spot, we have Steven Spielberg's Tripods. So these tripods from the 2005 movie directed by Steven Spielberg represents one of the most refined and terrifying evolutions of these fighting machines of the Martians. They stand at roughly 150 to 200 feet tall. These tripods feature a domed head with dual windshield-like panels, multiple articulated legs, which ends in 3-toed feet, and a massive retractable tentacles equipped with camera probes and something else. Their primary weapons are twin heat rays capable of instantly disintegrating living beings while still leaving behind inanimate objects like clothing, and this creates one of the film's most unsettling visual signatures. Unlike the novel, they do not use black smoke, but they compensate for this with other systems, including sprayers that spread the alien red weed across the landscape, which terraforms or transforms the Earth's ecosystem. One of their most significant advantages is their energy shielding, which makes them nearly impervious to conventional human weapons, which allows them to dominate engagements against human armies, which makes them able to annihilate entire M1 tank columns in minutes, but they are still not impervious to bacteria. Number 2, the George Pal's Tripods. So the Martian war machines in the War of the Worlds produced by George Pal takes a very different approach from the original vision of the novel by H.G. Wells. They transform the tripods into sleek hovering craft that resemble manta rays instead of the walking machines. Although early concepts included 3 visible electromagnetic legs, these were largely unseen, which results in machines that appear to float effortlessly. And these machines are extremely advanced. They are equipped with a swan neck heat ray capable of disintegrating targets and also wingtip mounted skeleton beams that replace the novel's black smoke. Their most formidable feature, however, is a powerful magnetic energy shield that renders them nearly invulnerable, even capable of withstanding the blast of an atomic bomb. Which says something, doesn't it? Like later adaptations of War of the Worlds, like the one from Steven Spielberg, these machines also utilize a remotely operated electronic eye to scout and observe human environments. And so overall, this version of the Martian fighting machines are far more durable and seemingly unstoppable in combat as compared to others here in this list. And number 1, the Martian Herons. These Martian Herons from the Great Martian War of 1913 till 1917 are the most imposing and technologically advanced interpretations of the fighting machines of the Martians. They tower up to around 250 meters, which means around more than 800 feet, which makes them the biggest ever, which I may have misplaced in my ranking of the biggest tripods in an earlier video. Sorry. Anyway, these colossal three-legged machines are slow-moving but virtually unstoppable due to their powerful energy shielding, which are described as being fueled by a form of dark energy, and thus that renders them immune to all conventional human weaponry. They are also armed with devastating heat guns mounted in the head, and they are capable of releasing toxic gases that mimic the Martian's native atmosphere. These Herons can annihilate entire cities within days, while simultaneously creating an environment hostile to human survival. They also function as command units for smaller spiders, and despite their overwhelming power, they still can be penetrated by their own technology, and once humans begin to understand Martian weaponry, the balance of power shifts. But that doesn't mean that they're not powerful. In fact, their shielding can be said to be more powerful than any other, and thus that makes them the most powerful. And so with that, we end this video on the 10 most powerful and advanced tripods from War of the Worlds, from the movie adaptations. So with that, we end this video. Now do hit the like button for support and also click that bell button for regular updates on new uploads. Also subscribe to be a part of Legion Nutbug, and till the next time, take care, boys!